Hey, Felix here with 4x4 Agent, and today we're going to continue our mission to de-Christmasify the Jeep. The plan is I'm going to get rid of the remaining red pieces, all the lighting I have coming, so once that comes in, I'm going to replace those with smoked out headlights. I found a light here that's also clear for the third brake light. And then I'm going to replace those two with reverse lights. So we'll do that. But in the meantime, I'm getting rid of that red rear tow hook. So there are two options to do it. One is to actually remove the full rear bumper, which is, I don't think, necessary. It's a lot more work than actually removing and replacing the red hook. It just sits there on 4 bolts. So let's get under there and take a look at what that looks like. So if you get under here, what you'll see is it's held by 4 bolts. These two, and then those two. These two are easy. Those are a little bit more difficult because you're gonna have to navigate that little space there because these get in your way, but it's doable. So all that I got is it's a 21mm socket. And then I have the Milwaukee long neck wrench. So using the short socket. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with one hand again. I can, let's see if you can see that, get in there just barely. So I'm gonna be able to take all these out, no problem. Then as far as torquing them back up, so from what I found, the torque specs are 94, 96 pounds. So these won't be a problem using my torque wrench to do. I've already been able to fit it on this one. I'm hoping that once this is removed, I can do the further one first and get in there to torque it. If not, I may just have to do that one by hand and not necessarily confirm with a torque wrench. But worst case scenario, if I can't get in to do that one with a torque wrench, at least I'll have 3 to exact torque specs. So let me pull these out and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, we have it removed. So we removed those 2 bolts over there, as well as these 2. A couple things to keep in mind. So I was able to do this with the Milwaukee, their 12-volt system. I'm using a 5 high output battery. 3/8-inch impact wrench. The long neck wrench didn't have enough juice to do it, so I had to switch up to the impact wrench. The bottom 2 were not an issue, but the issue was the 2 up there, and the impact wrench barely had enough juice to break those loose. I had barely enough space and was using a 3-inch extension, which allowed me to go between those 2 bolts to get to the top one. And I had just barely enough space to fit the tool here on the side. Worst case scenario, you could probably break it by hand. It's only torqued to 94 pounds. But I like to make it simple and use power tools whenever I can. Actually, the replacement is arriving tomorrow, so we will be putting that in tomorrow, and I'll videotape that and then get this out to you guys. All right, so the new hook arrived. We're gonna put it back in. I just hand screwed this bolt in here just to hold it in place, and I'm gonna do the back one first. I'm gonna thread the bolt, and I'm gonna use my impact wrench to tighten it as much as I can, and then I'm gonna use my torque wrench to check that it's 94 foot-pounds of torque. Hopefully I can get to that back one. That one's pretty tight. This one and these 2 shouldn't be a problem, but that might be a little challenging. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, mid-process update. So for some strange reason, these 2 bolt holes aren't lined up well, and it was a pain in the butt getting that bolt in at all. I had to go at almost an angle this way to get it to bite. I thought about taking these off to give me some wiggle room, but I don't think that would have helped because the way that the angle was and the slack that it would have given me taking these two off would not have really helped. So I just got in there with my long neck wrench and basically forced it in slightly at instead of straight on, at an angle kind of like this. So once I got that in, I then used my impact driver to drive it all the way down, and then I used my torque wrench to torque it to 94 foot-pounds. So that's all done and set. These are just finger tight, just to kind of help me hold everything in place. Plus, when I started driving that in, this started to shift, so I wanted to get these in there to hold it in the proper location. So now I'm going to drive this one in, torque it, and then finish driving these in with the impact wrench and torque these. So I'll be right back. All right, everything's installed, tightened, and torqued to spec, 94 pounds. What I have to say is, when they install these 4 bolts from the factory, this stuff isn't lined up well. So initially I tried putting these 2 in. They went in fine, no problems. Which caused, these didn't cause actually any issues. The problem was that these 2 were not going straight. They had to go at a slight angle. So I decided I'm going to put these in first. So that was somewhat of a struggle. Finally, when I got these 2 in, and I don't know if maybe it's the alignment issue of the hook, but once I got those 2 in tight and torqued, these 2 would no longer go in straight. So I had to struggle and get these in, but luckily my impact wrench was able to handle it, although it was starting to struggle itself. But I got them in, I got them torqued. This will not be coming off because I'm not dealing with that again. So this is a permanent installation for me. The next time this is coming off, this is not going back in, because for the amount of hassle that it took to put 4 bolts in, I mean, that was insane. So, but at least we got rid of another red thing. We only have a couple left, and starting to look less and less like a Christmas tree. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment to let me know if you've done this and if you struggled aligning the bolts after the fact.